9 must-read yoga books. Book number 7, Kundalini Tantra. Very recently, I visited this International Yoga Festival in Rishikesh in the month of March. I attended a couple of Kundalini classes. No, actually, I didn't attend. I spent like probably 5-10 minutes over there. Mark my words when I say it was total garbage. I shouldn't say this, but they made me say it. That is not Kundalini Yoga. This book, written by Swami Satyananda Saraswati of Bihar School of Yoga, this is a very, very beautiful book published to commemorate the 50 years of inception of Bihar School of Yoga as a means of this Golden Jubilee celebration at the World Yoga Convention in 2013. I got this book back then. You see this? These are all the different chakras, starting from Mooladhara to Sahasrara. The snake represents the Kundalini Shakti. The energy in us is dormant and it is in the form of a coiled snake at the base of the spine. And once you start doing a lot of different practices, this energy will start to move up and it will hit the Sahasrara chakra, which is 1,000 petaled lotus flower. This book explains all the different practices or all the different sadhanas that one has to do if you wish to activate your Kundalini. We call this as Kundalini Jagarana, means activating the Kundalini. That's probably the nearest English word that I can think of right now. Kundalini awakening, yeah, that's the right word. If you want to awaken your Kundalini, this is the book. Okay, you don't want to read this book. If you are learning Kundalini yoga from someone else, a teacher himself, ask them if they know about this book and ask them if they have read this book. Ask them if they have practiced this book, whatever the practices that are given in this book. If not, they are not a Kundalini teacher. There are a lot of stupid fancy so-called Kundalini teachers wearing turban and teaching whatnot in the form of Kundalini yoga. That's absolute nonsense. Don't get offended when I use the word nonsense or garbage, but it is nonsense and it is garbage what these people are teaching. And most of them fall for the fancy wordings of these, foreigners when they say, okay, I come, I'll teach you Kundalini, I'll teach that, I'll teach this. Absolute crap. The real Kundalini yoga is not how these people teach in the West. Probably there may be one or two teachers. I haven't met them. But if you're someone who wants to dive deep in understanding the real practices of Kundalini yoga, you don't have to think about anything else. You have all the answers here. It explains about Kundalini, the risks and precautions you have to take, what is the path, how the Kundalini awakening happens, what are the different methods of awakening, what is the psychology behind it, how the mind has to be before you even start Kundalini, or if you're even fit to start the Kundalini journey. And then they talk about chakras, starting from Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Agnya, and then Sahasrara, all the different chakras that exist and how it actually looks. Chakras, what we call as spinal centers. So these spinal centers are not actually visible to the human eye. These are the spinal centers that the sages saw in the transcendental state. For example, this is the Sahasrara. This is how the 1,000 petaled lotus flower looks like for an individual, or at least for a sage, when he does the sadhana. Imagine what kind of pictures you would have seen of all the 1,000 petal lotus flower and all. It's all made up. Let me show you another example, okay? This will probably make you feel even better. You see this? This is the 4-petaled lotus flower, what we call as Mooladhara. See, this is how it is. Imagine what kind of pictures you have with all kinds of, fancy graphics and whatever it is. When you look at this, there's a real charm in watching this picture of Muladhara. This is how, or this is what the sages, or even if you start to practice in a transcendental state, you'll start seeing these chakras. These are called as spinal centers. The entire second chapter talks about all different chakras, and before you even start the practice of Kundalini yoga, or whatever you wish to call it, there are a lot of preparatory practices that you have to do. Kundalini awakening is not a joke. You will go mad. I've seen people becoming OCD, or developing OCD symptoms, or becoming compulsive. I've even heard stories, and I've seen, not in person, like through friends and through fellow practitioners. People have gone mad, not knowing what to do with the energy once they awaken these chakras, which is very dangerous. So here, all the different practices to awaken either the intellectual Agna chakra, or the base of the spine, Muladhara, or the Svadhisthana, or the Manipura, all different practices are given. And these are the practices done by sages themselves. So this is what the entire third chapter of the entire book of the Kundalini Tantra is all about. So grab hold of this and start practicing this. If you don't have the grace of the teacher, well, book is the only means of you to only source of the means. Nah. If you're not blessed with the right teacher, book is the source of the knowledge for each and every one of us. But there's one thing that you have to keep in mind. If you're learning these practices through book alone, you have to surrender yourself first. You have to imagine in your mind that there is someone, a physical person seated right in front of you, and he or she is instructing you. With this approach, when you start to study, it's a completely different perspective. You will never fall down from the grace of yoga. Most of the times, this is what happens. You feel like, okay, you're moving away from the goal, and you're about to fall down, or when you're on the path of yoga. That will not happen. And how do you achieve this? You surrender, mentally visualize, okay, there's a person seated in front of you, and then you continue to study. And the last chapter, a lot of research that is being done is being published over here. So you want to awaken your Kundalini, you want to awaken the different chakras, grab hold of this book. Forget about all the fancy teachers of the West. You have all the answers here. Even in fact, they would have studied this, or one or the other commentaries written by one or the other person. When you're knowing something, when you wish to know something for the first time, when you wish to practice the knowledge, practical knowledge for the first time, always go to the source of the text. Here is the source of the text. So do let me know what you felt in the comments. I really look forward to reading them. If there's anything else you wish for me to share, mention it in the comments. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's going to help me a lot. If you found this useful, and you know someone who's practicing Kundalini Yoga but has absolutely no idea about this book, share it with them. I'll see you in the next one.